Well guys, it's taken me 10 years, but I've finally organized my eBay office. Behind me, you'll see all of these shelves where I store my inventory, and I recently implemented this new system that I'm going to be telling you a little bit about, and I also changed up the way that my shelving was set up. So I switched out one of my old shelves and got a new metal shelf from Sam's Club. And then I also created a station to take photos behind me. You'll see one of my lights, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. And then I'm going to flip you guys around and let you kind of see the other side of my office. And then here behind me, you've got my desk and my computer and all of my printers, but I'll show you that. One of the reasons that I got motivated to redo my office was trying to find things that I had sold that I could not locate because I had things stored, I'm not going to say all over the house, but I had things stored in multiple locations around my house, and I would frequently lose items or it would just take too long to find them. And I think that sort of cost me time where I could have been spending that time doing things that were more efficient. And another reason that I wanted to do this system was that I think that I can get more use out of my shelves and I can store more inventory doing it with these boxes rather than just having each individual thing on the shelf. So all I have to do is find the item and then just pull out the box, and these fit the shelf exactly, so there's not any wasted space. One of the things that I've tried to do in this new office is to remove friction points. So trying to make everything easy as possible, putting everything where I need it, putting, for instance, a garbage can where I frequently throw things away. Seems like a simple thing, but you just don't think about it, and you cost yourself time walking back and forth. So I've put garbage cans in the areas where I tend to take the tags off of things. And I've also kind of set up some different little stations in this room that I'm going to show you guys in this video. So I hope that you'll enjoy my office tour and my office redo. If you saw my office before, it was not in very good condition. It was a little bit chaotic, and I definitely don't think that that's the way that I intended it to be. It's just as more inventory came in and everything sort of moved around, it got harder and harder to maintain it. And so with this new system, I feel confident that I'm going to be able to grow my inventory numbers and still be able to manage it in a better way than I was before. So this is one side of the room, and then if I turn all the way around, you'll see the other side of the room has my prep table, and I usually have this curtain closed, but I opened it so we could get some light in here. The curtain usually is just something that I keep closed so that I can focus on whatever I'm doing and listing. But this is my eBay prep table, and then I've also got over here my computer, my printers. So let me show you how I am organizing my inventory now. So as you can see, these are all matching white boxes. I ordered these in a pack of 25 off of Amazon, and I specifically got white because I feel like it just kind of looks cleaner, and I wanted everything to look nice in here. My labels are just printed with my thermal printer. I just went in Word and I made A4, A5, A6, and so on. And I also made sure to measure the length of the shelves to maximize the space. So these boxes fit the shelves exactly, and then I also have a little bit of room left over on the edges here for my shipping supplies. So there is no particular order to what goes in what box in terms of the type of items. I try to keep a pretty good mix of things. But if I do have, like for instance, a pair of black leggings, I try not to put them both in the same box because it's too hard to get to them. And typically I already have an idea of what's in the bag, but if it's not something that's obvious, I will go ahead and mark on a label. Like for instance, I'll put Athleta leggings size large. And so that way I can find them. But all I do when I sell something is just slide the box out and then get what I want out and then just slide it back in. And then one thing I don't like about the totes that people use is that I don't want to have to take the lid off of something every time that I, want to find my item. This just makes it a little bit easier to kind of see what we're looking for. There are some themes that I'll stick with, like for instance, this mostly has media in it, and then some of these mostly have clothing. So my thought process was to fill the middle two shelves first because those are the easiest for me to get to, and then put the heavier items on the bottom and then the lighter items on the top shelves, and then the larger oversized items go on the top shelf. And right now I've also got some mailers on the top shelf as well. Now I don't have a ton of back stock of mailers. Typically I use the smaller mailers. Here I've got some of the flat rates and some of these bigger bubble mailers, and then down here I've got more flat rates, and I think these are like 10 by 13 or close to that. And then down here I've got extra storage space for like shipping supplies and some of my bulkier types of items. But if I list something, basically it's either going to go on shelf 1 or shelf 2. So if it doesn't go in a box, for instance, if it goes up at the top, I'll just say top of shelf 2. So each item that I list has a SKU number on eBay that correlates with the listing. So for instance, this SKU number, it will be C4, and then I'll also put how much I paid for the item, and then I'll put where I got the item, and I'll also put the day that I listed it so that I know how long it's been for sale, because a lot of my items get relisted over and over again. So you can put anything that you want in a custom SKU. You can get as detailed as you want, or you can just say C4, that way you know how to find it. But I want to give myself like relevant information, especially if something's been listed for months and I haven't dropped the price on it. You know, it can be good for me to know, oh, you need to go ahead and move this inventory because it's been sitting for way too long. So on the shelf, I also have some things like tape. I have these clear poly bags. Everything goes in one of these before it's put into the boxes. Number 1, because it keeps everything organized, but number 2, because we have 3 dogs and I don't want dog hair getting on any of the inventory. So what I do is buy these in bulk. You can typically buy the pack of 400 and it has each size in it. So this is the size 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I just kind of keep those stacked like that. And then I've also got easy access to all of the plugs that I need for my lighting setup over here that I'll show you guys in just a moment. And then on the bottom shelf, I've got some boxes, and then I keep the larger boxes in this closet over here. I don't typically sell a lot of larger items, but when I do, I'm able to access the boxes if I need it. I just have to scoot that table over first. So I kind of lucked up on getting this shelf. I was at one of the Amazon return outlets and I saw this shelf with all of these tiny little compartments, and I'd been wanting one of these, but I really didn't want to pay $40 for it. So I actually wound up getting this for $5, and I wanted to use it for tiny or small items. It's about 6 inches in depth. I went ahead and labeled everything A through Z. It just kind of worked out that it had exactly the number of letters in the alphabet. So this is what's known as Tiny Shelf, TS. And so when I make the custom SKU, I'll do TSA, TSB, TSC. That way I know from TS that it's on the tiny shelf, and then whichever letter of the alphabet that follows is the compartment that it's in. So that's just a way that works for me. One thing I like about running my own business is I don't have to follow anyone else's organization system or structure. I can do what works for me, and that's kind of good because everyone thinks differently, and so not everything is going to work for everyone else. This corner is where I do my photography. I recently built this little, I'm not going to call it a flat lay because it's really just at an angle, but all this is a 4x8 board that I cut down to be a 4x5 board, and then I have a little hook behind it, and then I just use any color hanger that works for me. Typically I'll use a white hanger, but since you guys are watching the video, I wanted you guys to be able to see it. And then I've got a couple different lights. Usually I'll have 2 lights that I'm using, but for the purpose of this, I didn't want to get them all out. But you can see how the light is cast on that particular area. And all this is a curtain that I got for $1, and I just draped that over. So the cool thing about that is I can always wash it or change the color out if I don't, if I have something white, I want to put on a different background, I can easily change that out. So also in this corner, we've got this photography light box. I recently bought this because I know that my photos needed work. And I also knew that I could get a lot more money for my items if I just started taking more professional looking photos. And I don't mean to blind you guys with this thing. It's just so bright. But as I reach inside, you can see that it's just a stark white background. And then this size of this is 24 by 24 inches. And so I got a 24 by 24 table to put it on. And so that's where I'll take pictures of things like collectibles that are smaller, basically anything that I want to showcase. And I also have another garbage can here that I can use. It's automatic. You don't have to do anything. Just wave your hand over it and it opens. I got that for like $3 at one of those bin stores. But this is mainly how I do my photography. The only exception would be if I have something that won't fit in this, I might take it to my kitchen table and take a picture of it there because it's a white kitchen table. One way I've tried to maximize space is just to have an area for everything. This is my little step stool that I use to get things off the top shelf because I am 5 feet tall, so I can barely get these down, these A2s. I can get them down, but that's the reason why I wanted to put the lightweight stuff up there. And then in this corner, this is where I store my lights. So over here, you'll see this stands on sort of a little tripod setup, and this is our main hallway that is where our bedrooms are. So I don't want this cluttered up all the time. So when I get done taking pictures, I just flip that back inward and it looks like this. And then I have it standing in the corner here. The reason for the bucket is because we have a Roomba, and if it runs over them, it'll knock them over. So it hits the bucket instead of those, and that just kind of keeps everything in its place. So flipping you guys over to the other side of my office, I've closed the curtain so we can take a look at everything. Over here, you'll have my computer, my printers, and everything that I need to basically work and ship and do the things that I need. It's a little tight in here, but it's not too bad. I can basically do everything I need to do. I've got a 4x6 thermal printer, and then I've got one of the thermal printers that does the smaller labels, and then I've got just a regular printer here that I don't really use very often, but anyways, it's there if I need it. So this is just a 6-foot table, and this is where I like to prep my items. I recently added these 2 shelves to the table to just kind of have a little bit more storage space, and then on the bottom there I added a piece of board that I got cut from Home Depot to perfectly fit in here, and that board allows me to have all that shipping supplies stored underneath the table. So I've tried to be deliberate in terms of not having any unused space in here, if you can't tell. So I mean, it is packed full, but I think that everything is in its place and everything, is easy to get to. So in that laundry basket, I've got packing supplies, and then in that one, I've got reusable tote bags, my IKEA bag, things that I use to go to the post office. And then underneath, I've just got some various different size containers from the Dollar Tree in case I need to sort things, or I can organize things within my boxes over there. So this metal shelf is things that I currently need to list. As you can see, I've only got 2 items on it, so I'm doing pretty good at keeping up with what is coming in. And then this shelf, I actually got this for $10 at a bin store. I've got my bubble wrap on the top, got some paper towels, I've got tape, I've got a couple of small mailers, not a ton, and then I've got a lint roller, my scissors, basically anything that I would need to access. And then I've also got my small scale up here, and then I've got my large scale stored just underneath. I also keep in here a tape measure, some post-it notes, some wipes in case I need to wipe anything off. And then this cart right here is just where I keep all of my receipts. So as I come in and take things out of bags on this table here, I take the receipt out and put it in there, and then I'll process what I need to process. And in addition to that, I've got tons of poly bags. These are 10 by 13. This is the size that I use the most, and I've actually been experimenting with doing some thermal labels that say my shop name on eBay, or my store name, whatever you want to call it. So I've just kind of been playing around with that today. It says thank you for supporting my small business, and I wanted to just kind of play around with the idea of putting these on higher priced orders. I'm not going to put them on every order because it's just not worth the time and resources, but on the higher ticket items, I thought it could be a nice touch in terms of just, doing a little bit extra for the customer. I mean, overall, this is just my setup. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've worked really hard to make it mine. So from what I was able to calculate, I think I should be able to fit 300 to 400 items over here before this space fills up. I am trying to think ahead in terms of how I want my business to grow, but I think that that's a pretty good level for me to work towards because right now I am just under 100 listings. I just got back into selling on eBay. I've sold on eBay on and off for 10 years, and it's just something that, you know, I fall in love with, fall out of love with, and just go back and forth with. But I think that right now I'm really looking forward to growing this because, you know, having a space that makes sense and having easily accessible things makes it so much easier in terms of just wanting to do it, wanting to do the listing, wanting to do the prepping and the shipping and the cleaning of the items. So there's a lot that goes into it. I won't ever say that reselling is easy, but I do think that there is a relatively low barrier to entry. Anyone can start doing it. Not everyone can grow it and make a consistent income from it, but it's definitely something that you could try if you're looking to make some extra money, and who knows, maybe even be able to work for yourself someday. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the office tour. I have got to do some listing. I went to a fill-a-bag sale, and you filled the whole IKEA bag for $10, and I filled that sucker up, and now I've got to deal with the consequences of that. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.